Welcome into the Michigan Football Report. Ladies and gentlemen, we're a few days away from Michigan Army high noon at the Big House on Saturday. I'm really excited for the pregame festivities here, and there's going to be quite the show of military strength, let's just put it that way, from Michigan pregame to honor Army. But I've got some Michigan football rumors for you here today on the show on injuries of Shea Patterson, John Runyon, down to Peoples-Jones, and some other things. But before we get going, I'm going to give you guys the opportunity to win some straight cash, homie, from my pocket to yours. Predict below in the comments here on YouTube what the score will be, Michigan versus Army. I need you to just give me the score. I also need you to tell me who's going to win. I'll assume it's Michigan, but you got to tell us who's winning. You also got to make sure you subscribe to the channel to be eligible to win the $25. Whoever is the first one to type it, get it correctly, I'm going to Venmo you $25. So my pocket to yours, David. Look, I'm just going to take some cash out of my pocket. I'm going to throw it your way, and you're going to be richer for it just from being a smart Michigan football fan. So put the score below. I'm going to go 35-10 Michigan's my early prediction, but I'm going to give my official one Saturday morning on Twitter before the game. So that is the deal for you. Go ahead and do that now. Let's take a look back at the game against Middle Tennessee State. 40-21. Michigan had a little bit better game plan at the end of the first half. That 40 could have been higher. Had Lavert Hill not dropped a surefire walk in the end zone doing high steps and dance moves, pick six. That could have been a little higher if Michigan hadn't given up a touchdown late. It's a garbage time and also didn't have a couple turnovers. The score could have been 49-10 or 49-14. Alas, it wasn't. A lot of teams across the country, I think outside of maybe Clemson and maybe Oklahoma struggled. Duke didn't, Alabama was 0-0 with Duke in the first quarter. Ohio State scored, one touchdown after the first 7 minutes of the game. So don't panic too much. A lot of positives came out of this game. Mostly, I think, the passing attack in the first half and then the emergence of Zach Charbonnet in the running game. But let's take a look at the rumor roundup. Let's talk Shea Patterson. If you saw my tweets out there a week and a half ago, I told you if I see anybody talking shit about Shea Patterson, they're going to have to deal with me and the Yoder team coming at you. Saw one guy trying to claim, Dylan McCaffrey, all this, some Michigan sports chat bullshit website, guy who's got maybe 2 listeners on a podcast. I told him to delete his account, kiss my ass. But tweet came out last night. I got some more information. Very good source on this one. Shea was only 60% after that first play. Really got injured. Give this one 4 Harbaugh heads. We all know what that means. F-A-C-K, fact. Let's take a look at the NFL draft scout, Matt Miller. His tweet that he put out, he basically said, sources told me that Michigan Shea Patterson was hurt on that first play. His lower body, struggled throughout the game. I talked to the same source, the same story there last night, and was told it's an abdominal issue. Shea wasn't able to twist during throws. And we'll look at the passing chart here coming up in a moment, but I think what you'll see there is if you can't twist, you're throwing up the middle a lot, and that's kind of why I think some of these stats will say that. But if we recall back, Shea fumbled, gets hit as he's making a nice 12, 13, 14-yard gain on the very first play of the game, fumbles it, abdominal injury. And if you've ever played football, if you've ever thrown a ball, imagine if you can't really move your abs. If you twist your body, it's basically all abs and hips. So if one of those isn't working, going to make it tough to throw, especially out to the sideline. So 4 Harbaugh heads on this one. And even with that injury, even with an abdominal issue that I was told put him at 60%, Shea Patterson, 16 of 25. And by the way, 25 first half passing attempts. I'm going to have to go back. I'm going to have to pull up the research department, task the research department here at the Michigan Football Report to get on this. But I would be willing to bet that that's the most passes Michigan's ever thrown in the first half of a game in the history of the program. I honestly would be willing to bet that, because if you extrapolate that over a whole game, that's 50 passes in a game. I would say, I don't know if Michigan's ever thrown 50, maybe 1 or 2 times ever. We'll go back and look at it, just kind of pulling those up, here as we're doing the show. But Shea was not 100% healthy, right? 60%. Couldn't twist his body to throw the ball. A lot of stuff right down the middle. We'll show the passing chart coming up here. But 60% was where he's at. So any of you people out there calling for the backup quarterback to come in, the backup quarterback's the better guy, you need to slow your roll, You need to remember who you're repping, which team you're rooting for. You're rooting for these guys right here? Then quit the bullshit with the Dylan McCaffrey, because I have just had it. We need to support Shea Patterson. Give me a go blue in the comments if you're 100% behind Shea. If you don't type go blue, I need you to stop watching this show. Go watch the Nebraska Football Report with Dylan Tippett, okay? That's the show you need to be watching. But time go blue if you're 100% behind Shea Patterson. Let's take a look at Shea's passing chart. The graphics wizards, Chat Sports, man, we made arrows going one way or the other way. This is big time stuff here. Sam Webb could never come up with graphics looking like this. But passing left, 4 of 9, 44 yards. Passing right, 1 of 2, 49 yards. If you add those together, 5 of 11, not too great, 53 yards. But if you look at up the middle, where Michigan has struggled for the entirety of my life, throwing up the middle, 12 of 18, so 67%, 150 yards, and those 3 touchdowns. Tariq Black, Nico Collins, and then Sean McCune, who caught the ball at the 5-yard line, had a nice little wiggle to break off 2 different tacklers there to get into the end zone. So 3 first-half touchdown passes, 25 attempts, 200 yards. Folks, being injured, and we saw Dylan McCaffrey come in throughout a lot of stretches in the second half. I think what we're seeing there, I'm not convinced it's a 2-quarterback system as much as it was. Shea's really injured, couldn't throw the ball as well. Only 4 passing attempts in the second half for Shea Patterson. 6 yards, 1 of 4 for 6 yards. So I think that goes to show where this offense was. Anybody claiming Michigan was saving the offense for Wisconsin for the Army game, I'll tell those people I'm still waiting for Jabril Peppers to do something, to throw the ball or something like that 3 years ago, because Michigan has never saved anything for later games in the history of the program. Usually what we see is what we get. I think that stretched from about 8 minutes in the first quarter to 6-7 minutes left in the second quarter. That is the offense that we're going to get from Gaddis. Really disappointing what we saw in the second half, but I think it's more of Shea Patterson's injury than it had to do with Michigan being conservative or not having more plays to do it. Let's take a look at the receiving leaders versus Middle Tennessee State. Surprise addition right there on the right side of your screen, Cornelius Johnson, Mike Sainristil, getting all the hype, getting all the love in the spring. When nobody's tackling, he's the guy who's catching a 5-yard out and taking it 60 yards to the end zone, because nobody could hit him. I told you to slow your roll on Sainristil. I told you when we broke the Oliver Martin transfer story that Sainristil wasn't even the starter. Martin was still ahead of him coming out of spring ball, outperforming him in the summer. So I didn't understand the hype on Sainristil. The Michigan football coaches definitely hyped up Ronnie Bell all offseason. Ronnie Bell got the most snaps in the wide receiving core. Didn't show up in the stat sheet. We saw Cornelius Johnson, the true freshman out of the East Coast, get a couple catches there. It was the Nico and Tariq Black show. Sean McCune sprinkled in a little bit. But the story here, Shea Patterson 60% after that first play. I will say this. As far as we know, here on Wednesday, 3 days till the game, Shea has not been cleared. It's told, we talked to 2 different people. It says might not actually know until Thursday. But I was said, I don't want to put this out there, but I am 100% certain, barring the trainers strapping him down to a hospital bed, that Shea will play, even if he's at 60%, even if it's 70%. He will do whatever it takes to be on the field this week versus Army. This is his team, his senior year, and I'll just say this, folks. It'll be 15 years at least until for Michigan to have 3, maybe more NFL wide receivers like they do now, a senior quarterback that was a 5-star that a year ago some people were saying was a top pick in the NFL draft, still could be. Jim Harbaugh, Josh Gaddis, they better put the pedal to the metal and turn this into an offense like we saw from Oklahoma, with their quarterback starting his first game, throwing to guys who have 8 career catches and true freshmen. It's not a system thing. It is a play calling. It's an execution thing. So Michigan's offensive decision makers, supposed to be just Josh Gaddis, gotta bring it this week. If Shea's going to put himself out there in the field, need to put the play calling behind him that will lead to the big time stats and the offensive aggressiveness that's going to potentially mask what I think is a very average defense this year from Don Brown. All right, folks, I told you that we were getting canceled. They came in, Saturday night after the game, we got done filming highlights. We filmed the grades and put it out Sunday morning. And the facilities team at Chat Sports here, they brought in, they started painting the walls red behind me. I said, F this. I talked to the bureaucrats. I kicked those guys out, the pencil pushers at Chat Sports. I said, what can I do? We didn't get to 5,000. You guys let me down. But now we're gonna do it together. They said, okay, James, you get one more chance. First show, next week. That's this one. Get 200 comments. 200 comments on the show. Show that people still want to keep the show. So subscribe if you can. It's going to help out. But we got to get 200 comments on this show for me to be able to do it again, or they're going to relegate me back to some other shows. I don't want to have that to happen. I want to do this thing 4 or 5 days a week. So don't let the haters and the losers, these guys on Twitter, they got nothing better to do than to talk about me and yada yada. Don't let them win. Comment now. I don't care if you just go 1, enter 2, enter 3, enter. Spam us with comments if you want to, right? Spam us with comments, whatever you want to do there. Comment now. Look at who's Team Shea or Team Dylan. Who put that down there? These subscribers. Team Shea all day until next year when it's Team Dylan. So don't let the haters and losers win. Comment below. I don't care what you comment. Just make sure that you do. All right, folks, Michigan taking on Army this weekend. While you're waiting for the game, we've got more videos from the Michigan Football Report here and here. If you haven't yet, don't let the haters and the losers win. Comment and hit this like button right here. Go Blue.